What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Another week, another episode here. Plenty of stuff to talk about. Most importantly, got a lot of baseball to cover. If you don't like baseball, sucks to suck. Skip the part. We got NBA stuff. Season starts next week. Then we'll cover some football stuff. We got some depressing things going on in football that just came out here 10 minutes prior to me recording. So we'll cover all that here today. This is your Sports Digest. I'm your host, Alex McNinch. And as I said, we're going to start off with baseball. And if you don't watch postseason baseball, if you don't watch baseball in general because it's too boring, it's too long, there's so much dead time, shut up. Your opinion doesn't mean anything. How about that? Because these are some of the most exciting games on TV right now. Way more exciting than some of the weak matchups of college football during the weekdays. Not many people watch preseason anymore. Everybody already says hockey sucks. So why are you not watching baseball right now? There's incredible games, incredible atmospheres, incredible teams playing, and we're going to talk about all that today. We left off last episode going into Game 4 of the NLDS between the Phillies and the Braves. Philadelphia ended up pulling it out. Like I said, once the Phillies caught momentum and you're playing in Citizens Bank Park, it is damn hard to win there when the stadium is rocking and the players are going. And I think it was who was on the mound for them? Ranger Suarez maybe, and he pitched great against Strider. They just found a way to capitalize. Phillies moved on to the NLCS, but we knew the matchup in the ALCS already. And that concludes this week potentially, based on how things go. We have Game 3 tonight as I'm recording here on Wednesday. It may have already happened by the time you had listened to this, so you know the results. But talk about the ALCS a little bit. The Texas Rangers, who a lot of people are really surprised about playing this dominant. I'm not, but I am against the Astros. They're up 2-0 right now against Houston, and they went into Houston, took Game 1 in a really, really, really pitching-dominant performance from Texas. They started out with Jordan Montgomery. He went 6 1/3, scoreless, 6 strikeouts. Looked great. Josh Forbes came in along with Aroldis Chapman, and then I think it was Jose Leclerc that came in and closed it. Yeah, it was Leclerc that came in and closed it. Absolutely dominant performance from Texas on the pitching staff-wise. Hitting was good. They put up 2, but they had 6 hits on those as well. Their lone 2 runs coming from a Leody Taveras 2-run homer. If you had that on your bingo card for happening in the postseason, a Leody Taveras home run, then congratulations, you just probably won the lottery, because I don't know if anybody keeps up with baseball. Leody Taveras, not a power hitter at all. So shout out to him for getting that. Rangers take Game 1 behind Jordan Montgomery. They play the next afternoon with Nathan Eovaldi on the mound for them. The first game was against Justin Verlander, by the way. Should have just pointed that out for the Astros. Had Verlander on the mound. Game 2 came down to Nathan Eovaldi, who we talked about last week being absolutely incredible in the postseason. And he was taking on Framber Valdez, who, if you watched the playoffs last year, Framber Valdez had a sub-2 ERA. The entire postseason, was super dominant, almost threw a no-hitter, I believe, once in the postseason last year, had one this year, looked awesome throughout the year. And he gets into this game, and the Rangers say, hey, yeah, I'm putting everything in play. And they put up a 4 spot in the first inning on them. All started out with a Marcus Semien hit up the middle. There's history between those two. There was an issue earlier on this year where there was some talking back and forth with Valdez and Semien. Whole little bench clearing brawl. Not really a brawl, but benches cleared, whatever. So Marcus Semien got his get back again there. Leadoff single. Corey Seager bloop single on the left. I think it was Robbie Grossman then came up next, reached on an error, and then Adolis Garcia slaps it into right and gets another run in. That Grossman hit got a run in because it was a throwing error to first, so scored a run there. Garcia scores a run. Garfer in the gap scores a run. And Jonah Heim, it was just an absolute massacre in the first inning. He had thrown like 30-something pitches in the first, and normally that's never good. There were concerns of man, if Framber can't even get past the first inning, what are they going to do? Are they going to have to go out and throw Urquidy and hope to God that they can use one of their other guys in the next couple games and whatnot? So they were in a really tough position, and somehow Houston found a way to battle back, kept putting up a run every other inning, going down to it, and there was an inning. And talk about Nathan Eovaldi having the biggest nuts of all time. We talked about the postseason stats, right? Sure, he gave up 4, or he gave up 3, I think. Yeah, he ended up giving up 3. Sure, whatever, 3 runs. Who cares? There was his last inning he pitched in. He gave up the first 3 guys got on base. Bases loaded, no outs. Nathan Eovaldi got all 3 guys out. 2 strikeouts, and then the last one, I believe, was a grounder to third base to Josh Young. He threw it over to first. Nate was fired up. That is the prototypical Nathan Eovaldi playoff performance. He's going to put his nuts on the table for you and give everything he has. Sure, he's not pumping 100 like he was in 18 with the Sox, but he's still pumping 95 with that nasty split. It was awesome to see Eovaldi do his thing there. Rangers looking really, really good, and they only get better from here because Game 3 tonight, they get their big trade acquisition, bigger than Jordan Montgomery, even though Montgomery has been even better than this guy has, obviously with the injuries and stuff playing part in it. Max Scherzer comes back for Game 3 tonight against the Astros. Now, we haven't seen Max Scherzer on the mound in a while. He was acquired from the Mets during the trade deadline. We have not seen him since September 12th. He's had a reoccurring shoulder issue. They originally were going to rule him out for the year. They said, no, hold up. If we make a deep enough run, he could come back. That's exactly what's happening. Scherzer threw a live pen, said he felt fine, and he's ready to go tonight now. Not pitching since the 12th of September. How rusty is he against live batting in the playoffs? We know how Max Scherzer is as a pitcher in the playoffs, but do we know how good 38-year-old, 39-year-old with an arm issue Max Scherzer is in the playoffs against Christian Javier, who in the past 2 years has been probably the best postseason pitcher of the past 2 years. He threw that combined no-hitter last year in the postseason and then was fantastic against Minnesota in the DS. It'll be interesting to see kind of what transpires there with Scherzer coming back. Whenever he was originally traded to Texas, he did have some issues. I think his first game, he ended up giving up like 3 or 4 or 5 or something like that. It was rough. And then, he gave up a 7th spot to Houston his last time out on the 6th of September on 3 innings pitch. I think that's where the aggravation started to come back in that shoulder. We saw it then in that Toronto game where he was removed in the 5th for that. But we'll see how things go there tonight. And then Game 4 will be tomorrow on Thursday. The projected right now is Urquidy versus Andrew Heaney, who Heaney's going to open up as an opener. They'll probably go to Dane Dunning, kind of like they did in the ALDS against the Orioles. And if they ended up getting past that one, Game 5 is in Texas again on Friday as well, which we roll back around to Verlander versus Montgomery, most likely. But the Astros are on the verge of elimination. The hardest part is out of the way if you're the Rangers. Take them on the road and win them on the road. And that's what you got to do. Survive and advance. You're happy with 1. You're ecstatic with 2. And now you have a chance to sweep the Astros at home, or maybe gentlemen's sweep. Maybe they take a game. But you could gentlemen sweep them at home and get this series done by this weekend so you don't have to push it till Sunday and go back to Houston for Game 6. They're looking really, really good right now. I would not be surprised if the Rangers end up going through. That was my prediction that the Rangers would go through to the World Series. I think that they just have it right now. There's something about a wild card team that once they gain that momentum in the wild card game /series now, it's hard to take that foot off the gas pedal. We saw it with Washington in 2019, the Rockies in 2007. Granted, they lost to the Red Sox, but speaking of the team that we kind of compared to the 2019 Washington Nationals, the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Philadelphia Phillies, and man, are the Phillies hotter than ever right now. They obviously have that chip on their shoulder from last year, losing in the World Series to the Astros. They know how much they really want to win this. They know how much this matters to them as a group, as a team, and they're getting fantastic performances from both sides of the ball, hitting and pitching. Bryce Harper potentially is the hottest player on I wouldn't say potentially. He is the hottest player on the planet. He is turning into one of the faces of baseball. There was all this talk when he was getting drafted back in 2011 about how he was the next GOAT, the next prototype, the next big thing in baseball. There was a lot of hype to live up to. It worked well in Washington, but not good enough. He leaves to go to Philly. The year he leaves to go to Philly, Washington wins that World Series. So you know that chip is on Bryce's shoulder, battling through injuries, being called overrated, saying he doesn't deserve the contract. Well, now all of those people who are saying that are on his side. And Bryce isn't one of those guys who, Bryce used to be a hothead back in the day. He used to have a big ego and stuff like that. But now he's really toned down, really calmed down, matured, and become such a calm and likable guy. And I've always been a Bryce Harper guy. I will always say that I'm a big Bryce Harper guy. I've always believed in him, but I am rooting for Philadelphia right now against Arizona. As much as I love the Arizona Diamondbacks, their story, their youth, everything about them, they got some former Sox within the organization. I love a lot of the things they got going on. It's just hard to root against whenever you hear Citizens Bank Park lose their mind after every little thing that happens. They are standing up for the first pitch of the game, and half of them don't even sit down the entire game. We mentioned Bryce Harper. He is fantastic. He had a homer in Game 1 on his birthday. He blew out the 31 candle that he held up with his fingers. It was exciting. Schwarber had the leadoff homer that day as well. He's unbelievable, and that was against Zach Gallen. That was their best opportunity if you're Arizona to take a game with Zach Gallen on the mound, and you couldn't do that. Fast forward to last night, Game 2, the Phillies put up a 10-0 spot on them, shut them out, only allow 4 hits. And if you look at what happened, Kyle Schwarber, 2 home runs, which, by the way, Kyle Schwarber, former Red Sox, traded for him at the deadline in 21. I absolutely love Kyle Schwarber. He's going to walk a lot, or he's going to hit you a home run. Nothing in between. Nothing in between. You're going to either get a walk or you're getting a 450-foot moonshot from him. And a lot of people criticize him because sometimes he bats in the low 200s or under 200 as a batting average. But he's always going to give you a lot of bombs. And when it comes to the postseason, Kyle Schwarber is just a different animal. He just turns it up in the postseason. He did it for the Red Sox. He's done it for the Phillies the past 2 years. He did it for the Cubs when he was there. He is an unbelievable player, such a likable dude as well. He had 2 home runs last night. Trey Turner also had a home run last night. That was electric. Who else did really good? Alec Boehm had 2 hits. JT Realmuto had 3. And let's just also note here, I'll put this down as a note as well. Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, the 1-2 punch for the Phillies right now, my goodness, are they shoving. They are shoving, and it is whenever you catch a pitcher that's on fire. We've seen it with Bumgarner. We've seen it with Evaldi, Valdez, Javier, Verlander, Scherzer. We've seen it with all these guys. When they catch fire and they're hot on the mound, it's hard to stop, and that's why you're seeing Jordan Montgomery do his thing right now. And you're seeing the same case with Wheeler and Nola over in Philly. It's awesome to see. They obviously have a 2-0 lead now going back to Arizona, where they're probably going to get Ranger Suarez and maybe Taijuan Walker. I guess it'd be Taijuan Walker. Probably would be the other starter for Game 4. You just never know. They'll be facing off against Brandon Pfaadt, I think, is going to be pitching, and then Ryan Nelson would be the other next guy in line, I guess. It's hard to bet against this Phillies team right now, man. They are unbelievable. And that's not even to mention their bullpen that has pretty much been locked down for them throughout this postseason. Obviously not having to see it last night, but when the Diamondbacks fought back in Game 1, you look towards the Phillies bullpen, and you're like, all right, here comes Sir Anthony Dominguez, who is not bad. Jose Alvarado, awesome. Craig Kimbrell, awesome. Jeff Hoffman, awesome. Like, they just got guys in that bullpen that can carry you the way, and that is a big thing in the playoffs. If you got a deep bullpen and you got a lockdown closer, you have a really good shot of winning. And right now, Philly's got all the momentum and the potential chance to winning. So my prediction of Philly, I said the winner of Atlanta-Philly series was going to end up winning the NLCS against Arizona. Again, nothing towards Arizona, just it's hard to stop a team when they catch fire. And then the Texas Rangers, they're also on fire right now as well. So it's hard to bet against those teams. My prediction is looking pretty solid so far. Moving over to the next sport we got to talk about. Let's move to the NBA a little bit. And first I want to say something. I know I've been teasing it. I know I've mentioned it a little bit about having a season preview. That's going to come out Monday. The last preseason games are on Friday. I'm going to have the finishing touches to this. I've been working on this for like a month. I just want to point this out. This is more effort into this than I do for half of my college essays at the moment. So hope you guys enjoy it. If you want to learn a little bit about the NBA, if you want to figure out some things about teams, it's always going to be up the entire year for you to reference kind of what I thought about the team going into the season and whatnot. Kind of when we get the finalized starting lineups, we'll all be able to figure it out. I'll post that on Monday. We're going to do a Tuesday episode next week. I'm traveling to Memphis next Wednesday, so there won't be time for me to record. So the episode will come out Tuesday before the opening night games for the NBA that day. Whatever. We'll figure it out. You'll see when it happens. But that article is going to come out Monday. Stay tuned to all my social medias about all of that as well. But we're about a week away from opening night. 6 days now exactly. 7 days from Grizzlies opening night against the Pelicans. It's right around the corner. I'm so excited. Basketball is my sport. Baseball and basketball are my sports. So like this is so exciting for me right now. This time of year, it's a lot of fun. But we got some stuff to talk about, and one of the things we got to talk about just happened here recently. And I mean, it's been building over time, but some new news has come out recently about James Harden and kind of his situation with the 76ers. It was reported by Shams Charania of Stadium, FanDuel, whatever he works with now. He just reported recently that James Harden has not been with the team or practiced with the team, played with the team since Sunday. It was reported he was going to training camp, worked with them, played scrimmages, whatnot, was going to be causing a scene is what they said. We have not seen anything, heard anything else outside of that besides his intentions are clear. He wants to play for the Clippers. He does not want to play in Philadelphia, and he hates Daryl Morey now. So that's kind of the whole gist we got of it. The Clippers are still unwilling to give up Terrence Mann, which I semi-get, semi-don't. He is one of your only young pieces that you have for long-term is Terrence Mann. But at the same time, if you think that you can capitalize on Paul George and Kawhi Leonard's last couple of years, their contracts are coming up, they're aging, you got to make the move to be able to do it. Sure, you're losing a little bit of defense, but you're hoping that Kawhi and Paul George can kind of stay healthy so whether they can play a loaded defense. And then at the trade deadline, you always can just end up making a move for somebody else. There's probably going to be a 3-team trade that comes up here in the next week if anything happens. And the Clippers are adamant about not trading their young guys for him, for James Harden, that is. But the 76ers are also adamant on wanting draft capital or youth in exchange for Harden and not just like a, hey, we'll take him for Robert Covington and Nick Batum type of thing just to match the salaries or whatever. That's just going to be a long hauling thing over the season that we could be seeing played out throughout the first couple weeks to months of the year before anything really takes action within the James Harden situation. Or this all could come to a halt at the end of the week and they're like, all right, we just need to move on and get better with each team and figure it out here. Either one of the two options. I don't see this getting to the trade deadline. I think it happens before then, but you just never know in the NBA world at this point. But there was another trade that happened, and it's through Kevin Porter Jr. now. We all are obviously aware of Kevin Porter Jr.'s alleged actions towards his, at the time, girlfriend, with the assault and harassment and domestic violence charges. I'm not going to get into any more of that. I know there's some stuff coming out that may be combating that, but that's not for me to talk about again here. If anything else comes true, confirmed, then we'll talk about it. But as of now, that's just not my area to speak on. But I will speak on the stuff that happens within the basketball realm and court and management side. And it's that Kevin Porter Jr. was traded finally from the Rockets to the Oklahoma City Thunder in exchange for Victor Oladipo and Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, kid out of Villanova, who is kind of an undersized 4'5". Oladipo, now his second time being traded to the Houston Rockets. If you don't remember, the first time he was traded to the Rockets was involved in the first James Harden trade with the Nets and the Rockets and whatever. He was involved in that whole trade, ended up getting released as well. But, so he's going to be there. But the Thunder are immediately cutting Kevin Porter Jr. They're also getting some draft picks as well, some second-rounders. They're immediately going to cut KPJ, going to put him in free agency. They're going to pay out the guarantee contract. They have the money, so there's no need. They're not going to spend it anywhere else. Why not get a couple draft assets as well, just to take on the money, release it, get done with it, who cares, whatever. Immediately releasing. I know they had to put that out to make sure that nobody questioned anything there, so that's happened there. Cool for the Rockets to get Robinson-Earl. He could be a good depth piece, and then now we wait to see if Victor Oladipo stays in Houston and helps that kind of core that they got. Remember, he got hurt in the playoffs last year. I can't remember what it was. It was a knee injury, I believe. So he's going to probably be out still for a little bit longer, but we'll have to wait and see kind of what goes on with VO. If he gets released, obviously everyone is in the market for Victor Oladipo. If you're Miami, a reunion there. If you're Miami, Boston could use depth still. I'm sure the Lakers are going to want to get him on the team. The Clippers, the typical 5 to 10 teams feel that always comes out when a veteran gets released. There's a chance you could see that happening, but only due time will tell with that one. But that's the only real trades and cuts that have been happening. Expect more trades and cuts here at the end of the week going into the weekend as teams are having to cut down their roster size and the season starts next week. So maybe some roster transactions come in here and there throughout the week. But let's talk about some stuff on the court that I've seen. A couple things I am very impressed with. Number one, Julian Strawther for the Denver Nuggets. He was one of those guys that was a part of that second-round draft pick group that they had with all those picks. They're going with this new philosophy in Denver hey, let's pay all of our guys and let's draft these 3-4 year college players that have experience, are willing to play, and are kind of their bodies are ready for the NBA. And Julian Strawther, a guy who's played, I think, 3 or 4 years at Gonzaga, has been fantastic there. Instantly comes over and is an asset to this Denver Nugget bench. He's going to be awesome. He's looked really good in the preseason. Another guy that's looked really good in the preseason, we talked about him, I believe 2 episodes ago when he got his contract extension, is Peyton Pritchard. He's averaging around 20 points a game in the preseason so far. Obviously, he's going to be the 6th man off the bench for the Celtics right now. Him and Al Horford are the 2 main guys there. As they're still trying to figure out rotations and minutes and whatnot, he's making a really good proof point that, hey, you made a good idea and a good job by signing me long term because I am worth every penny you're signing me for. So that's great for him. Moving to the Grizzlies side of things, Zaire Williams and Santi Aldama and David Roddy, all 3 of those guys looking fantastic for the team. Zaire, who struggled last year with some knee stuff. We talked about him, I think, last episode about all of his stuff. He's looked really, really good. He's had the past 2 games where he's hit 4+ threes, looked really good, shooting efficiently, making some great strides defensively and as a ball handler / passer. Santi Aldama, figuring out how to really take the ball off the dribble, make a strong move using his length as well to attack the basket. And he's looking a little bit shiftier on defense as well. Last year, he would have to guard threes at times, and he would get blown by a lot. He would lose track of help side defense, whatever. He's looking a lot smoother, using his length and size to his advantage. I'm really loving what I'm seeing from Aldama. And then David Roddy, man, I just love David Roddy. We call him Big Body Roddy in Memphis for a reason. He's built like a linebacker. He should play football for an NFL team, but he's playing basketball for my basketball team. And I am super pumped that he's here. He looks like he's ready for the season. It looks like he really took this potential starting spot seriously for his case. He's shooting it pretty decently from three. That's obviously still going to be a work in progress with him, but there's no denying his way to use his strength with the ball in his hands. He's really, really crafty. He's got sneaky bounce as well, really solid defensively, obviously with the big frame that he has. Sure, a little undersized, but his strength and his body size, it gives him the benefits of a good defender as well. But offensively, he's using finesse. He hit some euros. He'll hit a nice little spin move, and then he'll rise up for a couple dunks here and there and maybe a finger roll or two. David Roddy really impressing me. All those guys are impressing me as we inch closer to the opening night next Wednesday. Like I said, I will be in attendance. Next guy that's impressed me, Cam Whitmore, and I don't even say it impressed me because I knew this was going to happen. He's just proving me right from the draft process. I talked about it back then. I love Cam Whitmore. I think he's going to be awesome. He has every little bit that could be a fantastic NBA basketball player. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism at times. Obviously there were flashes at Villanova where you question like, hey, what's this guy got for us, right? He shows off his athleticism there and has been in the preseason. If you haven't seen the poster dunk, please God, go find that one. It was nasty. I'm very impressed with him. He's proven me right. I've talked about it all draft process. I love him. After he got drafted 20th, I said I was the steal of the draft. You can go check my TikToks, my Instagram reels, YouTube short, whatever. I told you this guy was going to be awesome, and it made no sense why he dropped. I'm so pumped that Cam Whitmore is balling out right now. I hate that it's for the Rockets because I'm not a big Rockets guy because it's a division thing, but I love to see really good players who get doubted succeed in the NBA. That makes me feel good. And it also doesn't hurt that I believed in this guy from the start when a lot of people question his character, his alpha mentality. I believed in all of that as well. So not to pat myself on the back or anything. It's just cool to see some of these things come to true realization that I kind of know what I'm talking about at times. But then the last one, we kind of went, I guess never mind. We could talk about Damian Lillard making his debut with the Bucks. He didn't look good in the first two games, but he also hasn't played basketball in forever, and he's just getting acclimated. I'm not too concerned there. It was just weird seeing him in anything but a Portland Trailblazers uniform. So that was interesting. We'll see how that kind of goes as the season starts and progresses. But the last thing I want to talk about is you're probably looking at the thumbnail of this video and probably are like, why is Ben Simmons on the front? Ben Simmons, a guy who was the number one overall pick in the draft back in 2016-17. Lot of hype. People saying he could have been the next LeBron. Obviously, if you're a guy who's like 6'9", super athletic, can throw it down, pass the ball really well as a forward, you're the next LeBron. Congratulations. But the question was Ben Simmons' shooting ability. Everybody's made fun of it. We all know the whole story. We know the injury, the mental health stuff, the trade, whatever. Finally coming back this year, and I'm really rooting for Ben Simmons. And this is the only time I root for LSU guys is when it's a really good story. And sure, Ben kind of brings a lot of the heat onto himself for what he's done and kind of just how he's carried himself a little bit during his time in Philly. But I think overall he's a great guy. I'm excited to see how he plays because he's shooting turnaround fadeaways from the post and from mid-range. If he's doing that, I mean, that's about all you need from the guy instead of, hey, I'm just going to be your cut-to-the-basket roll guy. They tried playing him at center last year or power forward. He's your point guard. Ben Simmons is your point guard. There's no way around it. Like he's your point guard. That's what you got to do. You can't play him at anywhere off the ball. Good thing they have Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and guys like that to kind of work off the ball. He's got a great lob threat now with Nick Claxton, who has really evolved. I'm excited to kind of see how he works into this year. Looks much healthier. He's moving quicker. If he has the right mindset, he can take care of his body. This is a Brooklyn team that their season is really dependent on how is Ben Simmons' availability gonna matter to this team, right? You got the same pieces as last year. You've added some guys, you've lost some guys, but your big one is you never really had this group play with Ben at all. What is he going to look like with this group? He's looked solid in preseason so far. I'm excited to see how he works. I really think if you look at it, this could be the resurgence, I guess, quote unquote, of Ben Simmons to kind of come back and be that player that is what everybody expected him from the start. Great finisher at the rim, not afraid to take it up over guys, elite level passing, and then obviously fantastic defense. I don't know how much with the injuries, how much defense he's going to give you right now, but as the season progresses, things will get better. I'm rooting for Ben Simmons, and that's how you know that it means something is when I'm rooting for an LSU guy. I'm rooting for Ben Simmons here, hoping that things kind of turn around for him. I'm excited to see how he kind of goes with that Brooklyn Nets team. That I really enjoy that Nets team a lot. But with that being said, kind of done with the NBA. Next Tuesday, we'll kind of have an episode right before the NBA opening night starts so that we can kind of cover the games. I think it's the Lakers and the Nuggets and then the Suns and Warriors are that night. That's next Tuesday. Those are the two games, the ring ceremony for the Nuggets. This will be interesting. We got a couple more preseason games to watch here the upcoming days. I think we need to see Wembanyama one more time. Grizzlies play one more time. Like I said, everybody plays one last time before Saturday. So if you haven't gotten a chance to see a team play, go watch them there before you can, before the regular season starts if you want to get a checkup on any of those guys. But that's, the only other thing about the NBA I mentioned, my article is going to come out Monday. I'll post it everywhere. We'll kind of talk about it next week as well, kind of review a little bit. I hope you guys can kind of check that out. Stay tuned to all my social medias about that so you can read up on anything you want for your team. All right, one more thing. This is actually like live breaking, not really breaking, but kind of in the NBA we're going over again. And I just saw an article and read an article on ESPN that just now broke here this morning. It's not really broke, but kind of diving into Ja Morant and his timeline of 18 months with the Grizzlies and how there could be an underlying issue that people don't talk about when it comes to Ja and his issue. And they kind of talk about T. Morant, his father, a little bit, kind of being about him really wanting to use the spotlight that his son had to prove it for himself and be a part of that spotlight because he could never make it there. If you were to ask me, I'm not going to be the one to tell you like, hey, this is all Ja's fault, or hey, this is all T's fault, right? It's how do I don't know how to put it. It's a two-way road, but when it comes to T, we all know the kind of actions he has. We all know what he is. And that's fine. He's a supportive dad. He cares, right? Sometimes he cares a little too much and realize, hey, it's not AAU anymore. You can't just come out there and yell at whoever and whenever, right? It's the NBA. This is a professional league. Your son's making millions of dollars to make sure you guys are okay and good as a family, right? I think there was the part where it says that team officials or team sources or whatever has said that this could be an issue, that T. Morant has been one of the driving factors of why Ja's behavior has been that. It's easy to quickly turn and point the blame at somebody other than the actual person. But there could be some things with both sides. I don't want to blame one side or the other, right? Ja is accountable for his actions. He understands he messed up. The only hope is that he gets better. When it comes to T, he understands, hey, maybe I do need to take a step back. Hey, maybe I need to not do this or that, right? Both sides are being held accountable here, and I think they both understand that they are accountable for what has happened with any attention. Same with Ja's friends, whatever, right? I think there's a whole guilt thing going on with all parties involved in this. My biggest thing is how ESPN has these team source info. I don't know who this means. This could mean somebody like a former medical staff member of the team that's not there, a former coach that is not there, maybe a former player that's not there anymore, right? There's so many different things that can go into this, but I just saw that article come out. I read it real quick here while I'm recording. I took a pause to break in between the NBA and the NFL, but I just saw it where they talked about it. I just wanted to kind of mention it just because I didn't know if anybody was going to say anything to me about it. I think what we need to do is to stop writing these types of stories about Ja. Sure, it's always going to be in his name. There's no way you pull it away. Gilbert Arenas still gets made fun of for the gun stuff all the time to this day, right? Magic Johnson gets made fun of or jokes about the AIDS all until this day, right? It's always going to be attached to his name. I think what ESPN, what these major networks need to stop doing is pushing the terrible narrative. Now, I understand, it's ESPN. What do you expect? Yeah, I understand. What do you expect from them? I expect professionalism. I expect respect towards the players that are making sure that you have a job, because at the end of the day, if there's no NBA, there's no NBA writers. If there's no football, there's no NFL or college football writers. If there's no baseball, there's no baseball writers. If there's no sports, if there's no athletes, there are no sports jobs. So at the end of the day, there has to be a respect for the player, the organization, for the fandom, and for the story as whole. We understand you have overloaded us with this type of information over the past, as they said, 18 months. There have been so much stuff that has come out, slandering his name, putting him down. What do you think that's going to do to a guy? Put this into a perspective for yourself. Say you make a mistake in school, right? You do something wrong, or at work, you do something wrong. And they post it all up on the board saying, this person effed up. This person messed up on everything right here. And we're going to show everybody that they are a terrible person for what they did. You're going to feel like a shitty person. Your mental health is going to go down. You're going to start getting depressed. You're going to think that everybody's out to get you. And that's exactly what he's probably feeling right now, Ja is. And I can say this as another guy who's in his 20s. He's just around his age. He's like, 23? I'm 21. We're right around the same age. I can relate to how he probably feels. Now, I can't relate to how he feels as an NBA player, as an NBA superstar with all this money and fame and attraction. I have such a minuscule amount of attention on me compared to whatever he could have or his family could have, right? I think when you go into the mind of somebody, when you see somebody slandering your name as a young person, you go into the state of, why does somebody hate me? What do you have against me that makes you hate me so much? And now when all these major news outlets are putting these things out constantly about him, putting his name down, it takes a toll. I could only imagine how he feels inside. I think the first time when he had an issue, when they said that, he learned, he's getting better or whatever, right? I think it's the second time when everyone they just kept making new stories out of nowhere, like, oh, Ja was doing this at this place. Here's how much he spent at the strip club. Why are we doing this to the guy? The NBA season starts next week. You could talk about James Harden being a bitch with the team all you want. Why are we slandering him? He doesn't even play until December, right? He's not even allowed courtside. It's not like you're going to see his face. I just don't get it. And again, maybe it's because I'm a biased fan, but I think if you look at it as a perspective fan of sports and as a realist And as somebody who can tap into the mind of a younger person, if you are young, you could tap into the mind of a guy who's just your age as well, but just has a lot more money and fame than you do. At the end of the day, we're all human, right? We all have the same heart. Well, not exactly, but we all have a heart. We all have a soul. We have a brain. We all have the same shit. We're all the same. We're all pretty much made of the same stuff, but we all have different characters. People's morale, people's characters can get hurt in many different ways, and they are ruined by outside factors. And these news outlets slandering names are a big issue. That's why I preach positivity on this podcast a lot of times, because I know that there are way too many podcasts, articles, TV shows, whatever, slandering people, saying they're terrible, saying they're not worth it in the NBA, they'll never make it, this person sucks, this person that. That's why on here we uplift people. We think positively on a lot of things, because there's no reason to just slander somebody who has worked harder than anyone else to get to where they are. I could sit here and talk for days. Every episode I can come on here and be like, well, we could talk about how the Red Sox sucked and these guys sucked this year and this sucks and our GM search sucks and our ownership. I could do this. But why would I come on here and complain every single episode about something that's so pointless to complain about in a time where it doesn't even matter? I could sit here and tell you how the Kraken are 0-3, their power play is terrible. I could do this all day, but I'm not going to. Why would I sit here and complain about something? Right? Nobody wants to listen to me complain for 45 minutes. Shit, if you want to do that, there's plenty of other podcasts you can go out there and listen to if you want to hear somebody complain for 45 minutes. You come here to learn about news. You come here to get my opinion on stuff. You hear the positive outlooks. That's what I'm here for. That's why seeing this stuff about Ja is super upsetting, and it hurts me to watch that kind of stuff. I know he messed up. Sure, he messed up. Everybody's going to make mistakes. This is a big one. Whatever. Cool, he got suspended. Everything's fine. We figured that out already. Just let's focus on basketball. Obviously, it'll never just be about basketball, but let's focus on basketball. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing the Grizzlies getting slandered in the media as a wide majority because of one action or two different actions, three different actions within a player. Why can't we uplift the guy, right? Why can't the narrative be, instead of, man, Ja did this and he did that and he did that and he did that, instead of, maybe Ja Morant can come back and maybe he can come back with the right mindset. Hopefully Ja comes back and has learned from his mistakes. It's never hopefully he has learned from his mistakes. It's he better have learned from his mistakes, otherwise he's going to do it again. Why are we thinking about that? Just pathetic. Just pathetic on the NBA end. I just wanted to put that out there. That turned into way longer than it needed to be. Just wanted to put that out there. But as I talk about negative stuff, Anthony Richardson's out for the season, so I'm done with the NFL. That's my only negative thing. There's my negative of the day. One. That's my negative jar. Anthony Richardson just got season-ending shoulder surgery that he injured against the – who the hell did they play? The Titans. Yep, the Titans. I think as a former Titans fan of 2.5 years, I think this was their way of getting back at me for leaving them for the Colts, is by injuring him. Now, that's just a conspiracy theory. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that's my conspiracy. But all jokes aside, hopefully great recovery for my guy. Hate that I can't see him on the field. Hate that I'm not going to be watching NFL as much. It's okay. I'm not too heartbroken about that, but I'm heartbroken about how his rookie year is coming to an end, and my fantasy team name no longer means anything because both of my ARs that were quarterbacks are now injured and out for the year. But that's the only thing I got in the NFL. We're done with the NFL. Sorry, if you want to talk about the NFL, go listen to an NFL podcast. It's not for me. We'll talk about college football, though. We'll talk a little bit about college football. We got some extra time here. I mean, we have all the time in the world. It really doesn't matter. It's my podcast. Who gives a shit how long it goes? I'm just trying to think of convenience for you guys. Anyways, let's talk about some of the games from this last weekend. Let's start during the week games. Houston, Hail Mary win over West Virginia. If you saw that play, my God, how many times do you have to go over and practice? Hey, when a Hail Mary situation comes down and you're in prevent defense, swat the ball down. Swat it down away from anyone. That didn't happen. They swatted it the other way. Anyways, Houston wins on a Hail Mary. What a win for them in the Big 12. That's their signature win so far. Maybe over UTSA it was, but that was a Big 12 opponent. This is a Big 12 win for them. So congrats to Houston for that. But we're going to go back to negative, and we're going to talk about Colorado collapsing 29-0 at halftime. I went to bed. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. This is going to be like 56-3 when I wake up. And I come back, and I wake up in the morning. I have like multiple texts from people, and it's like, they collapsed. The game turned lopsided. What happened? And it's a double overtime win for Stanford. Absolutely incredible job by Stanford, by Troy Taylor, the head coach at Stanford, first year out of, I think, Sac State. We talked about him in the preseason preview for the Pac-12. Man, shout out to Stanford for keeping it in there. And if you're Colorado, this was your next best opportunity to win a game this year, right? You look at the schedule going forward, it don't get any easier. Maybe Arizona, but Arizona just beat Washington State this weekend, so maybe they're playing decent ball right now too. This might have been your best chance to get another win. Now, they got the win total for me, so shout out to me for predicting that and easily getting that one over the 3.5. They have 4, but still, that's bad. That's a bad, embarrassing loss. Looked like Travis Hunter was gassed. I mean, I fell asleep. I didn't get to see any of it, but just seeing that waking up was like, damn. How do you blow a 29-point lead at home to Stanford and you have a first-round pick at quarterback and a number 1 overall pick on both sides of the ball? It's just, that's a tough loss for Colorado. That's a really, really tough loss for them. That's an embarrassing loss. I hope Deion Sanders figures it out for them, and maybe they can get another win. Maybe they'll get a couple more wins, but that's a morale killer in that locker room after that loss for sure. Kind of talking a little bit more into stuff that I was actually able to watch. Florida getting a big win over South Carolina, and now you think, oh, South Carolina, not who cares, right? South Carolina has 2 wins on the year. Why is that a big win? Well, everyone thought Florida was winning 4 to 5 games this year in the preseason. Vanderbilt had more votes for the preseason poll to win the SEC East than we did. They were all ranking South Carolina to start the year, saying that South Carolina could win 9 games. Spencer Rattler can have a chance to break out. So going on the road to South Carolina, where the state fair was happening right outside the stadium, so it was jam-packed of South Carolina fans. Getting that win was massive. Graham Mertz has looked fantastic for this team. Ricky Pearsall is emerging as one of the top receivers in this draft class for sure. And maybe it's because I'm biased, but oh my goodness, his route running is fantastic. He is an underrated jump ball contested catch guy, secure hands. I love Ricky Pearsall. He is awesome. I am excited to see what people start to think of him. But again, here we go. We were told we were going to win 4 to 5 games max. I was told personally we're going 5-7. We're at 5 wins right now. So we got to beat one more team to beat that. And we got LSU, Georgia, Missouri, Florida State. I think our remaining 4 games. So maybe we get a win there. It's going to be tough. But I could see a potential chance where we go 6-6 and we become bowl eligible. No, obviously, defense needs to be cleaned up. We let South Carolina do a lot of stuff. Maybe it was just Jalen Kimber who gave up 17 points by himself, basically on deep balls. But that's neither here nor there. But defenses need to clean some things up. We got pressure towards the end of the game, but sustained success throughout the game on defense is a need. You can only scheme up so much until the players can't, perform at their level. They'll figure it out. Great stuff from Mertz, though. Fantastic. I am very impressed. Offensive line, not very impressed, but with Mertz, extremely impressed. I'm also impressed with Arlos Boardingham and Hayden Hansen, who really were questionable as tight ends this year. Now starting to figure things out. And then shout out to Trey Wilson as well, who got one of the greatest tip catches of all time. You just got to find it. Trey Wilson really emerging this year. Caleb Douglas has been out for this team. He's going to be out for a little bit as well. So other guys having to take a step up. Marcus Burke, Aiden Mizell, people like that that'll have to take a step up. Florida gets a win. They get a bye week before they have to go and play this team in Jacksonville, and that's the Georgia Bulldogs, who have a big injury issue in Brock Bowers, who just got ankle surgery after the Vanderbilt game that they had this past week, where they only won like 37-20. So I think we beat Vanderbilt more than Georgia. So using the Pythagorean theorem, I think that means that we're a better team than Georgia. That's just me, though. I'm just throwing things out there, just throwing it out there. We play in 2 weeks. That's a big injury for them. Obviously, they have 17 5-stars behind Brock Bowers that they don't have to worry about really losing too much. But Brock Bowers is a top 10 pick in the draft this year. Whenever you have him on the field, he's a weapon. Whenever you don't have him on the field, you lose a weapon. So that's going to be a big thing for the Gators to be able to take advantage of that. Again, that's 2 weeks. We'll talk about that when we get there. Next week, we'll kind of talk about it. But, that's a big, tough loss. Carson Beck's starting to look a little bit better. The defense is always going to be solid, but not having your top 10 pick in Brock Bowers there, it sucks. It's going to be a lot on Ladd McConkey and Dominic Lovett now for this offense to really kind of be those main receiving targets for this team, as they kind of have been already. Without Brock Bowers now, you don't have that safety net anymore. Talking more about some of the other games we had this past weekend, Washington, what a win. What a game that was. I had it kind of on my phone as well during the Florida game. Washington wins on a missed field goal from Oregon. Fantastic game. Neither team should really be disappointed at all with anything that came from that game. If you're Oregon, do not be disappointed. They should not have dropped at all, really. That was such a great win for Washington. Obviously, they'll move up. They moved up. But Oregon should not be ashamed of that outside of that kick. They played great as well. This is the case where you can see both of these teams. You could have seen both of these teams making the playoff, and now with this USC losing to Notre Dame, there's a chance you could see Michael Penix leading this Washington team with Jalen Polk as their guy on the outside, leading this team to a potential playoff spot, and that's interesting to look out for. If you're a UW fan or you're just a fan of any conference that's not the Power 5, I guess they are the Power 5, but the main two in the SEC and the Big Ten, it's always fun to kind of see these other smaller schools. I guess Pac-12 not really small. They're going to be in the Big 12 or Big 10 next year, whatever it is. But still, you get what I'm saying. An outsider school kind of get in. That's always fun to watch. Louisville and Washington State, what's going on? They both got big wins this year. They've both looked really impressive. Louisville beat Notre Dame last week, and they decided, hey, we're going to get killed by Pitt. What the hell? I hyped up Louisville so much last week, and then they just come out here and shit the bed? Come on. Same with Washington State. I've hyped them up all year. They got a big win against Wisconsin. Big couple conference wins. And then they shit the bed here. Come on. Killing me. We talked about USC quickly losing to Notre Dame. Notre Dame looked good in that game, although their season's gone. That's probably such a blow for Notre Dame more than it is USC, because Notre Dame fans, they've got to be depressed after that. Losing to Louisville last week, Louisville getting killed this week, and then you beat USC, oh, man. Even with a one-loss win against USC in Louisville, I think you could have made the playoffs still, potentially. There's a chance. There's a pathway. That hurts more than it feels good, I think, for the USC win there for Notre Dame. And then North Carolina. Man, North Carolina is here. We've talked about them a lot. Drake May is awesome. They just got Tez Walker back, and he got 3 touchdowns this last game against Miami. So he is fully back. North Carolina is rolling. I am pumped. I am pumped to be a part of the Tar Heel small fandom, I guess you could say. I'm excited for them. They're a really good squad. We talked about them being one of the top schools early on. They got to play Duke and Clemson still. and then they probably have a date with Florida State in the that was a bar. They have a date with Florida State in the ACC championship game probably at the end of the year. So I'm excited to see how this North Carolina team rallies and continues to move. Defense got some stuff to clean up for sure, but all you got to do is outscore the other team, and North Carolina can definitely outscore the other team for sure. So I'm excited for them. And then the other one we could talk about, we're not even going to talk about it. It's pertaining to this week of college football. Apparently, there's Tuesday night footballs now, which that doesn't seem healthy. But that's just me. Tuesday night football happened, and my Southern Miss Golden Eagles, I don't even want to say my Southern Miss Golden Eagles. The Southern Miss Golden Eagles went to Mobile and played South Alabama. Since I've been a student here at Southern Miss, I have watched us lose to South Alabama 3 years in a row. This is now the fourth. I don't even want to say the score. Just know it was a 50-point loss for Southern Miss. It is absolutely embarrassing to be a student here for this football program. Thank God basketball starts here in like 3 weeks, and thank God baseball is still a program here because, my God, what is going on with the football team? There's obviously got to be some changes in personnel, in coaching, whatever. I don't know. Make a change. We're about to go 1-11 with Alcorn State being our only win. That's embarrassing. Embarrassing. So, yeah, hope everybody enjoyed Tuesday Night Football because I stopped watching after the first possession because I realized that the baseball game was going to be on at the same time. So I said, you know what? Screw my school. I'm going to watch baseball instead with this case. But now it's time to make some picks, as we always do. We continue to make fun of Alex for his terrible picking skills. Last week I picked Oregon to win the big game because it's not called the big game, but the big game of the week. I picked them to win because I wanted to keep my familyhood in check, and it backfired on me immediately. But hey, I think I was on the right side. A missed field goal, you never know what could happen in overtime there. So I feel like I was on the right side no matter what. Even though I thought Washington would end up winning, I picked Oregon. Again, make sure I didn't get shot at Thanksgiving time. But let's look at the picks that we got this week. And one of the big games this week, a massive, massive game. We got Ohio State, Penn State. We're kicking it off on the picks with this one. Again, Ohio State just never plays a night game at home. I swear to you, I've never seen Ohio State play a night game at home before. They play another afternoon game here against Penn State, and Penn State is chomping at the bit to get to Columbus, Ohio, take on these Buckeyes, and I think Penn State finds a way to get this one on the road. If you remember 2 years ago to open the year, Oregon and Ohio State played, and Oregon came in and just wanted it more, took over, and won the game. I think we're going to see something very similar with Penn State here this week against Ohio State. Ohio State gets a little comfortable. They got the Notre Dame win, and they think that they're all good. We're good. Everything's fine. I promise. Everything's fine, right? I think this week we take a look at it, and we look at James Franklin getting his boys ready. And I just think that this Penn State team is ready. Nick Singleton in the backfield, Drew at quarterback. I think this team's ready. I think Penn State ends up winning this one on the road in a big win for the Nittany Lions to really carve that path towards the national championship game, the national championship game, the college football playoff performance, as they got to play Michigan in a couple weeks as well. If you can knock off one of these two teams, you are in the driver's seat no matter what for the playoff contention. I skipped a game that's happening on Thursday. James Madison versus Marshall. Marshall at home against James Madison. I'm going to take James Madison there. They're 6-0. You can rank them. They're not going to rank them. They're literally bowl ineligible, conference championship ineligible because of the transition from FCS to FBS. They're still in that conference ban or the NCAA ban for that. So James Madison just creating chaos in the Sun Belt right now, being undefeated and can't compete for anything. But let's move back to Saturday's games. Sticking at the noon, 11 o'clock games, Memphis and UAB. Memphis goes on the road to UAB. Don't know why this is one of the games to pick. Memphis losing to Tulane when they had multiple opportunities to win last week at home against Tulane. Just collapsed, shot themselves in the foot. I think they get a big bounce-back win here on the road against UAB. That is the Memphis Tigers. Now, speaking of a team that needs a bounce-back as well, West Virginia coming off of that terrible Hail Mary ending against Houston. They take on Oklahoma State, who Oklahoma State is coming off a big win upset over Kansas at home. They got to travel to Morgantown, West Virginia. I think West Virginia cleans some things up, figures it out, and gets a win here over Oklahoma State at home. I just think the too much emotion from last week, losing that game, they're going to use that as motivation to end up pulling it out this week against Oklahoma State. And I think it's going to be a defensive battle of the ages. Not as big of a defensive battle as one we're going to pick here in a minute, but be a defensive battle. Let's just pick it right now. Minnesota, Iowa. If you're a betting person, the over-under right now is 31.5. Oh, my gosh. Like I said, I'm not betting anymore because I suck at college football betting, but I'm definitely going to bet the under just for the fun of it. I feel like you just gotta do it. Looking at it, I'll lose $1 just to do it. Why not? Who cares? I'm picking Iowa to beat Minnesota here at home. Iowa's ranked; they're 6-1. Let's just think about this. There's a chance Iowa plays in the Big Ten championship game. If Iowa wins out, they're playing in the Big Ten championship game. So go Hawks, baby. Hawks fly together. Another 2:30 game, another Big Ten game. Illinois, Wisconsin. Wisconsin 4-2 right now. Could be the team to kind of overtake Iowa if Iowa could find a way to string together some losses despite losing to Iowa a couple weeks ago. I think Wisconsin gets a win over Illinois here on the road. Not too concerned with that pick either. Then we got another 2:30 game, the CBS game of the week. Obviously, a rivalry that's been around for years and years and years, but now is being reemerged again in the national media spotlight due to last year's game and success of Tennessee in that game with the whole goalpost thing and everything. Alabama's looking for revenge this year. Alabama, Tennessee, 2:30 CBS at Bryant-Denny. I think Alabama gets this one. Just with the emotion of last year, I think it reigns in the minds of a lot of guys that were there. Jermaine Burton punched a girl last year there. I'm pretty sure, allegedly. I didn't see it. I didn't do anything. I don't know. Just allegedly. I think that happened. Maybe. I don't know. Don't sue me. But I think Alabama kind of has that chip on their shoulder. They've been told week in and week out that they're not the team that they are anymore because of that Texas loss, because of almost losing the USF. I think Alabama finds the emotion at home to be able to overcome Tennessee. That's going to really, really bring a lot of pressure to them and make Milroe have to work on his feet a little bit more. But I think that when you put Jalen Milroe on his feet, I think that's where you get the advantage. Because if you put Joe Milton on his feet, it's questionable. If you put Milroe on his feet, you're giving Alabama the advantage there. Jeez. We've been recording for an hour. You got to give me some slack here. Moving on to another game here. We're going to move time slots a little bit here. Going down to 6 o'clock. Ole Miss and Auburn. Don't know why this is a game I got to pick, but it's an ESPN game. So Ole Miss and Auburn. Ole Miss ranked 13th. Going to Auburn. Auburn coming off of a bye week where not bye week. They lost to LSU last week. That's on me. Bye week was 2 weeks ago. They lost to LSU last week, embarrassed by them. Ole Miss is going to do pretty much the same damn thing to them. I expect that to be an easy win for the Rebels on the road. ABC, 6:30, not game day, because we got to do the game day for the game at 11 o'clock, even though that makes no sense for what game day means. Anyways, just shut up. Duke, Florida State, this is a big game. Spread doesn't tell you that it's a big game, mainly because Riley Leonard's not probably playing. I would have to assume why the spread's so high, but it's a game on the pick'em, so I'm picking Florida State. It's a ranked matchup. I'm going to go with Florida State just because if Leonard doesn't play, there's no way that Duke's going to move the ball down the field on Florida State, really. I mean, Duke looked solid last week without him against NC State with, I don't even remember the dude's name. I think his name's Henry or something. He's a true freshman, something like that. Who knows? There's a chance that he could play, is what I'm reading here, according to 19 minutes ago. Mike Elko said that there's a chance he could be back for the FSU game. So maybe you look at that, but you got to go to Florida State at night. That's tough. That's tough to win, trust me. Sticking in the ACC a little bit, Clemson and Miami play. Miami losing to UNC last week. Clemson, what did Clemson do last week? They got a bye week. They had a bye week. All right, that's why I was wondering. Clemson coming off the bye. I think they're going to come down to Miami, be focused, ready to go, and win that game with knowing that there's still a chance that they can make the ACC championship game, not the playoff, the ACC championship game for sure. I think they still think that there's a chance. You got to beat Miami here. You still got Notre Dame. You got that big game against North Carolina. And you got to beat South Carolina. And you're on a really solid path still to potentially make that championship game, depending on how North Carolina's season kind of plays out and Duke's season, whatever. Last two games we're picking here are at 7 o'clock. One on ESPNU, another Sun Belt matchup between Georgia State and the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Give me the Raging Cajuns at home. Nothing more than they're the Raging Cajuns at home. Give me them. And then the big game on Fox that I'm probably going to watch at 7 o'clock, Utah and USC, the rematch of the Pac-12 championship game last year, 2 years ago, something like that. It was one of these recent years. I think it might have been last year. Don't quote me on that. Anyways, Utah USC plays at 7 o'clock on Fox on Saturday night. Give me Utah on the road. I think their defense way better than USC's. And you're proving this that, hey, if you have a defense in the Pac-12, you can be successful. And I think Utah, sure, a one-loss team. I hate that Utah lost to Oregon State a couple of weeks ago, but now they got I think they're going to get Cam Rising back. Finally, maybe a chance that Cam Rising comes back. Who knows at this point? I really don't. What's going on there with that? Why is Cam Rising not playing? Why isn't that a thing? It doesn't make any sense to me. Micah Pittman's not out for the year. That sucks for them, but I just don't know why Rising isn't why isn't he coming back anytime soon? Yeah, I'm trying to read on it right now as I'm doing this, and I'm literally finding nothing. But I'm still going to take Utah over USC just because of the defensive factor. I know USC's at home, but I don't know. I think that there's still a chance that Utah can find a way to squeeze back in here and win this one on the road. That's one of my risky picks of the week, but who really cares? I mean, it's college football. You never know what's going to happen in this shit anyways. That's it for me. That's a lot of talking. We talked MLB. We talked the NBA. We talked college football. We talked about John Morant and mental health a lot. Another thing to talk about, I've already said it, and I want to repeat it again. Monday, an article I've worked on for literally a month now, a season preview. I would appreciate if you read that. Just look at it and just know in my mind that somebody looked at it maybe. I don't know. I know I'm not getting paid for it. There's no sponsorship, no advertisement, whatever. Who cares? I'm doing it for fun. I'm trying to build up my portfolio a little bit. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. Kind of read a couple things. If you're not tuned into the NBA as much and you want to catch up a little bit with some of these teams, what's happened and how they're looking, that's the perfect spot for you. So yoursportsdigest.com on Monday. Stay tuned to all my social medias at yoursportsdigest, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever it may be. Pay attention to all of those. I'll release it out on all there whenever it does get posted on Monday. I got a busy week here upcoming next week. Next week's episode is going to be on Tuesday before the NBA opening night, and that would be it for that week because, like I said, traveling to Memphis, no episode on Wednesday, so it'll be on Tuesday instead. That's it for me. I talked y'all's ear off for an hour and 10 minutes now. You guys, I am so sorry that this has just happened to you, but I appreciate you if you've made it this far for some stupid-ass reason. You guys listen to me, but I appreciate it. Appreciate the support always and the kind words you guys give me. That's it for me this week. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. I'm Alex McNinch, and you just got your Sports Digest.